In this unit, we will be focusing on the beginnings of self-rule in the United States. We're going to discuss the Stamp Act, what it was, and how it affected the people in the 13 colonies. Let's go to Parliament now, where it was passed, and see what's going on there. This is a picture of King George III. He was the person who passed the Stamp Act for the colonies. This is a picture of the original 13 colonies, so this is who the Stamp Act affected. The Stamp Act of 1765 was the first internal tax levied directly on the American colonists by the British government. The act, which imposed a tax on all paper documents in the colonies, came at a time when the British Empire was deep in debt from the 7 Years' War. Now students, for an assignment about the Stamp Act, you're going to pretend you are living in one of the 13 colonies when the Stamp Act is passed. You will write your best persuasive letter to King George III to repeal the Stamp Act.
All right, now let's go over to the states and take a look at the Boston Harbor. Because of another tax on tea, the people in the 13 colonies became angry, which led to the Boston Tea Party. Here we see the Boston Harbor. Let's close out of this. Here's the Boston Harbor. And the revolt took place in 1773. And from this video clip, we are going to learn more about the Boston Tea Party and what happened there. While you're watching this, I just want you to think of how you feel about it, because later on in this unit we're going to be recreating a dramatic representation of what happened during the Boston Tea Party. So remember some of those feelings so that when we do perform this for our other 5th grade classes, they will get the same feeling of what it was like in 1773 during the Boston Tea Party.
Okay, now we're going to head over to the old State House. Ooh, look at us go. The old State House is the setting of the Boston Massacre. The Boston Massacre occurred here on March 5th, 1770. Tensions between the American colonists and the British were already running high in the early spring of 1770. Late in the afternoon on March 5th, a crowd of jeering Bostonians slinging snowballs gathered around a small group of British soldiers guarding the Boston Customs House. The soldiers became enraged after one of them had been hit, and they fired into the crowd, even though they were under orders not to fire. 5 colonists were shot and killed. As you can imagine, the colonists were pretty upset, and British troops being in the colonies was not very well welcomed. For an assignment, I'm going to have you look at these primary sources of art right here, and I want you to compare and contrast the different depictions of the Boston Massacre. Using clues from the art form and what you know about what happened to the Boston Massacre, what other things we're going to be talking about later on this unit, I want you to decide for yourself which one is more accurate and why. So you're going to compare and contrast those and justify your opinion. Actually, you know what? This isn't where the old State House is. That was Paul Revere's house. Let's check over to the old State House and see where it really occurred. Just making sure you're paying attention. This is the old State House in the street where the Boston Massacre occurred in 1770.
Another important place that we'll be talking about for this unit is Independence Hall. So let's go over there. Do any of you know what Independence Hall is best known for? This is where the Declaration of Independence was signed. On July 4th, 1776, which announced the 13 American colonies, regarded themselves as independent states and no longer a part of the British Empire. So this right here is an actual picture of the Declaration of Independence that was signed, and we're going to go ahead and open our layers. So down here in our layers, we are going to find the 360 cities. So if you click on the gallery, we're just going to click on the 360 cities. And the two that we're going to look at are this one right here, right in the middle of Independence Hall, and then also this one, or no, this one right here. Just to take a look inside of what Independence Hall actually looks like. So from here we can kind of look around and just look at the building itself, and once you're tired of that, you can go look at the other surrounding ones as well. Something else about Independence Hall that we're going to be talking about later on is we're just going to think about how it would have been if we were actually there in 1776 on July 4th when it was signed, how we felt when we declared our independence from Great Britain, or from the British Empire, and we are going to think about if we would have maybe signed that ourselves. So now if we click on this pin again, there is a short video clip from National Treasure that shows the Declaration of Independence and gives a quote. So we're gonna watch that as well.
Okay, now we're really going to go take a look at Paul Revere's house. Paul Revere was a very important person in the beginnings of America's self-rule. So let's take a look at his house. Let's get there. Paul Revere was a silversmith. He was an ardent and patriot colonialist. He was a key player in the beginnings of the American Revolution. He took part in the Boston Tea Party. Oh, see, look at his house. Isn't that cool? They still have it up and standing. It's looking pretty good. Anyway, Paul Revere took part in the Boston Tea Party and was a principal writer for Boston's Committee of Safety. In that role, he devised a system of lanterns to warn the Minutemen of a British invasion, setting up his famous ride on April 18, 1775. After learning a little bit more about this, students, you are going to decode maps of Paul Revere's Midnight Ride, which is going to be really cool. And we're also going to do some math problems and figure out a few different things and kind of just figure out the mysteries of and different solutions to routes that Paul Revere could have taken on his midnight ride.